I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and this is the day after Easter, so this is Monday morning, about 5:30, 5:15. I'm watching Channel 10 local here, NBC, and I've lived here, if you call it living, since '86. You see, I didn't commit a crime. They've been committed against me. And I don't know if this mess will ever be told to where people all over have to hear it and face what they're doing and have done. I don't think so. I'll die just like my father, and God knows where my children are. And it'll all be covered up. And they think they're just going to go on living the way they've always done. Good. Uh, Anyway, the local media here know all about me, who I am really. My real name is Margaret Ann Windsor, kidnapped in 41, age 2. My father's Edward VIII, who never married Wallace Warfield Simpson. She married a double. In fact, my father married Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, who is Irish, of course, and Irish American. Madison, Wisconsin. Did I say that? Sister to artist Georgia O'Keeffe. My aunt's one of the greatest artists that ever lived. And I have to say her name to get you to connect who my mom is, because I've really done a hell of a job taking her down. And how do you think they did that? The Illuminati that kidnapped me and took down my father, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers. Joe Kennedy was appointed ambassador to England by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president, for the sole purpose of taking down my father, because he wouldn't go along with them. And that was in 36 year my father became king. I have to question how my grandfather, George V, died now, really. But anyway, Joe Kennedy, was kicked out of the UK in 45, but not before JFK helped in my kidnapping and bringing me to Moulton, Alabama, and giving me the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, and I still have to use it. I married a Childers. Through this whole thing I've put up here on YouTube, Facebook, I put up about mind control murders. That's done with signals. Now then, there's some other people picking up what I have used and told about over the years since '76. A ham set was used back then. Now then, your satellites, communication satellites, and all this. And they've so woven this, if people don't pay attention and they just won't tune it out, that it can't be done to them. It's they teach the Morse code, but now then there's so many communication satellites, and if anybody says anything about it, if they found out they'd been programmed, and most people do have a chip in them now, and as babies, so people think they're immune. No, they're not. The powers that be can pick up on you at any time they believe they have a purpose to use you. That's the programming, like Virginia Tech, all these shootings, Columbine, all of them, plus the bombings and all this, and takedown of airplanes. Like, my God, is thrown in people's face. How can you ignore it? But they do, and they actually hate me, is the thing. Real problem, other than kidnapping me and the horrific crimes done to my babies, Mark and Scott, because they're heirs to the crown after me. I'm the legal heir right at the moment. My father made arrangements when they forced him out, and it was all legal, that if he had an heir, the heir would inherit. Well, I was born, he was taken down really in 36 in December, as far as I can tell. And the Church of England, by the way, got in on this. They didn't want my father to marry my mom. I'm not exactly sure why they couldn't control my father, because he wouldn't go along with their mess. And they were friends of the Americans and being told what to do by the government here. Roosevelt, obviously, in the Illuminati, which now controls everything. When they took my father down and kidnapped me, the Illuminati became in place and were able to put their military all over the UK, then all over Norway, Sweden, Denmark, my family, the Netherlands, that were monarchs. And I'm sorry to say they probably went along with it from the looks of it, or they were forced to because of the positioning there once they took over the UK. Okay, I'm going to cut to the chase here. I've told about mind control murders, and I find out that people really hate me for telling about it, and the fact that my mom's an American, but I'm English. I'm the monarch, and I find it's appalling, but only if it's shown of how I am treated, and hear the phone conversations. Um, it's second, and I'm going to stop because I put so much up. I put something up yesterday too. Jack Hartsfield, a reporter, FBI, that saved my life in 1980, but really in 80, November of 81. Oh, he sent me over the years. He was really FBI, and he was uh, undercover FBI. He was working as a reporter for the Huntsville Times, and then I put this up, the New Mexican News in Santa Fe, where my Aunt George O'Keefe lives, about, I don't know, 35 miles over the mountain there, and Abiquiu, next to Santa Fe, where he was working at the New Mexican News. This is in 84 in March. He was out at Flint's. He moved to Santa Clarita and Newhall. They're right there together, the same town, at outskirt of Los Angeles. So he and his wife lived there for a while, and she died not too many years ago. And I understand that Jack came back and was working for the Huntsville Times, and died a couple of years ago he had smoked for a long time. He was about 3 years older than me, but one of the most decent men. But he knew all this stuff, and it was very important. And I put some of these letters up over the years, but there's so many you'd have, if they're still even up there. Be hard to find them, but they're gone. I looked yesterday, and I think they were there. Well, they've been going away over the last year, so someone can get into my room when they want to and take stuff. But anyway, they're gone all, but I think it's 4 letters I have left, and the really main ones were gone, I thought. But I wanted to mention this, and right now I can't hear. I have a bacterial infection, and people will give me advice. I go to the doctor. You should know what's going on with my doctors now. So I really am going to stop with that, because I ever get out of this, and I'm 80 years old. My children, I don't know if they're alive. I know they've been through hell. So I hope and pray I have a few times, and this is told. And all these people like Nancy Pelosi and Elizabeth Warren. Remember the Warren Commission that covered up the Kennedy shooting because it would lead back to what was done to me. So anyway, you've got these people that are they're not telling you any of this about how your shootings or your bombings or any of this happened. And certainly about me and what my father and mother, and that Meghan Markle was she married. That was all playing Harry. And what they're doing is Elizabeth, this is where I'm going to stop. I'm watching TV and knowing that these people all know about the mind control murders. They know who I am and everything, and always have. Your media is controlled, just like Trump said, and they want to get rid of Trump, the one person that is telling some of the truth. Want to impeach him. Can you believe that? But anyway, I'm sitting here watching Channel 10 NBC, and they're talking about Harry and going at the Easter yesterday, and they made a point of talking about Elizabeth was the oldest reigning monarch. She'd been, I've forgotten how many years, 60-something years, and they were just giving her this glowing thing that you have to ask why the media has focused on Elizabeth, and they're not the royal family. They are the Illuminati. And they've got me here hostage, and God knows what. Well, they've made it so I couldn't even go home. It's not home anymore. It's been overrun by everybody else. And Elizabeth and the people, most of my family, or some of them there, work for the Illuminati now. That's how your Illuminati came to be. And I'm going to get off now. I've told it over and over. And there's a few people, some on YouTube, that have tried to at least give me their support. But I thought somewhere along the way, civil rights leaders would have gotten in on this, or some attorneys that are on Facebook and YouTube, and haven't, none. And no one will touch it. So right here in my face, Channel 10, with all them, they know all of this, and them singing the glory of Elizabeth, who sold out my country. The United States kidnapped me. They had me over here. How would that sound if you told it to the world? I don't know. The Illuminati is your United Nations that was able to come into power after they took my father down and kidnapped me. So will you suffer the consequences, or will you be dead and gone? I'm looking at this home for good. They're giving away homes and cars up here, the local. I've been homeless here since 86, living on the mountain and Salvation Army, you name it, wherever I could lay my head and hope I didn't get raped. And froze, and then I'm blamed because the law doesn't work for me, and I put all this up here, have been run with chemicals. I'm allergic to toxic fumes. I have an autoimmune disorder, and that's not an easy thing. If you're forced to inhale, then that's what I've been done, and then I run, and that's used against me. I don't have money. I'm in certain places, the only place I can go. So that's it may make it look like I can go anywhere on the side of the road to another town, and I don't have the options of where I go. Believe me, it's controlled. So anyway, my nose itch, excuse me here. What am I going to say? My health has gotten so bad, and I'm blamed for it. My decision making. I decided to live at all costs and try to find my children. I've made the right decisions. It's the others, the doctors, lawyers, that have not helped me because they're simply afraid of their bank accounts being frozen, or health codes where you live. They do what the police tell them to do. Law enforcement tell them to do, whether it's to hurt me or kind of help me. So I'm listening to these people right up here, so happy that I watch in the morning to get the news. And it's not just them, it's Channel 7. You should hear the part about Channel 7. So anyway, I've put it up to May the 6th, what was done then and of 2013. And then one of the reporters, because he did try to cover something, he was accused of rape, and he almost, he could have gone to prison. He didn't do it. He was framed, but he worked for Channel 7. And one of their people told me, he looked me up. He told me they weren't going to touch it. None of them have, out of D.C., LaSalle. It doesn't matter if you got a letter from the FBI where you did a book. The only time I got any notice was when I ran in the campaign to replace Congressman Dr. Larry McDonald, who I had written about in the book before I was almost killed April Fool Day of 80. And he was supposed to have gone down on the plane, the KAL, from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea. So I put all this up over and over because Nixon was on that flight and taking off just prior to takeoff. Geraldo, the reporter, got off. And there's not just me saying that Larry McDonald was not even on the plane, or if he was taken off. They took the whole 286 or 96 down. To make it appear that Larry McDonald drowned too. Now then, I still have a little time. Whether I can get this up today on YouTube, I don't know. That's kind of questionable. It's if I can. In the letter from Jack, one of them that I still had yesterday, the really important ones were taken, but it was the date it was written, September 17th of 83. He had moved from Huntsville, Alabama to Lubbock, Texas, and then after then he went to L.A. and in Santa Fe for a while, but L.A. because he visited. He knew Larry Flint. Well, the Hustler magazine is run, or it was, by the FBI. Some of the FBI agents I knew out of Atlanta. And what am I trying to get to here? In one of the letters I did have from Jack, one of the four, it mentioned, and it was the date September of '83, just before I was flown out to Flint in the campaign. In fact, I just registered to become a candidate when this letter was written to me from Jack, September the 17th of '83, from Lubbock, Texas. In it, he mentions he was fired from the paper there because he tried to help me, really. But also, he was trying to write about the murder of Jerry Gillespie, which is very important. He's a personnel director over personnel that hired me to work for the district attorney, Fred Simpson. Get the Simpson name. Madison, get the Madison name. Look it up, Madison, Wisconsin. My mom was born there. Simpson, my dad never married Wallace Simpson. A double did, but they took him down. He's married to my mom from Madison, Wisconsin. So it goes on and on from there. But anyway, he was, sometime I worked there from mid-May that almost killed me, April Fool Day of '80, and you get into some things about Elvis Presley there, and horrific crime. I shouldn't have been able to walk away from it, and God knows where my children are, because they're heirs after me, not William and Kate, not Harry. I don't think Harry's even Windsor. I'm not sure that the rest of them are. But when you call a cold-blooded killer and thief while you've got me sitting here in Salem, Virginia, and your media is still calling her a queen and she's the biggest heist in history that's ever been made, and me sitting right here watching them tell it, knowing they know all of this, the mind control murders, all of it. Now, if this hasn't gone off, the Jerry Gillespie was shot and killed. The best I can remember, it must have been about 3 months into my working at the DA's office. So mid-May, June, July, somewhere in July and August, I would think, he was shot. I wish I could go back and look it up because it's important who lived across the street. Now, whether he was going over there to see him or not, or just happened to live across the street, I think it was, John Spartman, the old U.S. Senator, who was so much a part of getting the ransom in the form of NASA, the space program there in Huntsville, in different forms, not just money, but getting Werner von Braun to come over here and head up the space. Now, well, who do you think funded it and all? They don't tell you that. The Brits and the Germans did. And they've got me over here, and now Jerry Gillespie is Jack. In this letter, I put it up. That was one of the reasons he was fired. He was trying to write about him being murdered. I think he was murdered. It was in the middle of the street from his house, and I think the house across the street was John Spartman, the old senator I'm talking about. Lina Dempsey, mother of the twins, was doing companion aid while she drew disability, by the way, and she lived pretty good. I did.